Welcome back. So as part of the next video in the Databricks Certified Associate Developer Spark certification course, so we will learn about data frame concept, one of the data frame concept, that is how do we handle null values in the dataset using null functions, right? So using null functions, yeah, the inbuilt Spark null functions, will be able to how do you kind of handle these nulls. Basically, what happens is when you take any data set, so there is a clear possibility that when you're talking about, especially when you're talking about big data, or when you're getting data from different sources, when your data getting data from IoT devices and many all these, right? So there is clear possibility of having some kind of noise in the data, or for many reasons that the data can go null, right? And if you want to clear out those nulls, or if you want to handle those nulls, so what are the possible ways? So we are seeing in this video. So if you are new to this channel, so please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So this is important. We would recommend you to please pause here and read. So as this is important to kind of get maximum out of this course, please take 1 minute here to kind of read these points and make sure that you understand these points. So in this video, we will explain how to filter out or filter in the null values from data frame, and also use of isNull and isNotNull functions. So in the next, we will quickly jump to the practicals of it. Let's quickly jump to our setup. So where we have this entire setup of community edition and all the practice notebooks and the practice data loaded. So if you are not sure how to make this setup for free, so we would recommend you to please see our previous videos. So just go through that, and you can get this setup completely done by seeing the previous videos as well, initial videos in the same playlist. So we are just setting up all the data frames here. So once all the data frames are set up, so we'll be able to we are ready for the next step to work on. So now, since all our required data set is ready, so we will quickly jump on working on these things, right? So let us kind of select from the customer data frame that we have. So we will select what exactly we need. Customer df dot. So select expr is a function to select whichever the columns I need. So I'm selecting a column. Let us see which is that column. So this is a column name. So this column I want to select, and the next column I want to select is first name, and the last name, and email address. And finally we will select yeah, I think this should be sufficient. I can select birth date also, dot I put a semicolon. So now this is a new data frame that I have, right? So this one I'll use to display this new data frame and see what exactly it looks like. So as you can see, we have just selected a few columns out of the main parent data frame. So this is just 4 columns that we have selected, right? So now we will also do a count to see how many records are there in this data frame. So to do that, just you need to do a data frame dot count. So it says there is around 1 lakh records, right? And now, so let us try to apply the not null constraint, right? Yeah, as you can see here, you are already having the first name here, which is null, and the email null. There are like a lot of birth date, which is null, right? So now if you want to apply this function, null function, so we can pretty much apply this on top of any of these columns. I'll use maybe first name, right? Wherever the first name is null, so I want to filter those records, right? So this is my command, right? Customer df.new.where, and I'm giving a first name is not null. So I want to filter out all the records which is having first name as null. So that's what it constitutes to. And now if I want to display this, right? So I just need to kind of put as a display. So when I kind of display these records, so you'll be able to clearly see. So there will be no records with the first name as null. So unlike the previous one, right? So here you had a lot of null records. So now let us see here, do we have any null records? Yeah. So here, as you can see, I'm just trying to click on this and filter multiple times, but I don't see any null values for the first name. Right. Similarly, you can use is null, right? So it's just the reverse of it. So when you are using is null, so you'll get all the records which are having first name as null, right? And also you have checked the count here, right? So the count was 1 lakh records, and now you can just check the count of this, right? And we'll just apply this to some other new data frame, right? So previously it was having 1 lakh records. So just need to give val because we are using Scala. So now if I do a count of this new DF, so definitely it should be less than 1 lakh records because the filter should be working. The null filter should be working here. As you can see, there are only 3000 records out of 1 lakh records which are having first name as null. So that means this filter is working. So the same filter, if you want to see as a SQL kind of a notation, right? So we'll try and see whether that works. So then we will understand the importance of this is null and is not null functions, right? So the salutation is this is the proper name, column name. So once I execute this, as you can see, it is still saying there is no null records, but actually there are how many null records we saw? 3492 when we were executing new df1. But now df1 we will do a count, right? It just shows zero value because it doesn't have any records here, so it just shows zero value. So this is all about we want to know here. Main thing is what is the importance of is null and what is the importance of is not null, and we will come to know the importance more when basically when we understand that SQL is not able to handle this kind of situations, right? And even if you give is not equal to null, right? So even in that case, it won't work, right? So both the conditions are not. So that is where is null and is not null are pretty much important here. So hope this was useful.